Welcome everyone to week number 3 in Biology 120. This is one of my favorite weeks. Of course, I say this quite a bit, so you have to take that with a grain of salt, but it is cell week. So let's see what we've got going on. First of all, quick review. What did we learn about last week? The importance of carbon as an element, the element of life. Every single organic molecule is made of carbon and hydrogen at least. The tiniest organic molecule is methane, CH4, but most of the organic molecules are gigantic. And that's why carbon is the backbone of organic molecules, because it can be used to make such large, varied shaped molecules of all sorts to do all sorts of things that have all different functions. You learned about the importance of water and how it absorbs heat in cells. It acts as a solvent. It carries molecules from one place to another and all sorts of other properties. And you learned about the 4 groups of organic molecules: carbohydrates, lipids, proteins, and nucleic acids. And hopefully you figured out that nucleic acids are not on food labels, and they don't need to be, because basically they're sugars and then pieces of proteins. That's basically what they are. Okay, so what is going on this week? This week is all about classification and types of organisms and their cell structures. So what the heck is classification? Classification is just putting things into categories. We naturally do this as human beings, and so do most animals that I know of, including our pets. You need to be able to classify so that you don't have to relearn what something is over and over and over again. If you walk into a brand new room that you've never been in before, how do you know where you're supposed to sit down? Well, you know what chairs are. You know what the general form of a chair is, and you know what it's used for. So you'll go find a chair, one that you have never seen before, and you'll go and sit down in it. This is the importance of classification. You understand something about this thing that you have classified in this category because you know about everything in that category, right? And so that's what we do in science too. So we're going to talk about that. Types of organisms. Basically, this week we're going to break it into 2. So we've got prokaryotes and eukaryotes. Prokaryotes are the bacteria. Okay? Very simple cells. They don't have organelles in them, no nucleus, no mitochondria. The cells aren't big enough to contain organelles. And so all the molecules inside a bacterial cell are in close contact with each other, including the DNA. Then you have eukaryotes. Eukaryotes are everything else besides the bacteria. So that's animals, us, plants, fungi, protists. Protists are all the other eukaryotes that are what? Not animals, plants, or fungi. So this is a very varied group, but like an amoeba, paramecium, algae of all different types. Yeah, there are lots of different protists. So we classify organisms as prokaryotes, those are bacteria, and eukaryotes, which are everything else. The eukaryotes have a more complex cell structure, lots of little compartments called organelles, like mitochondria, the Golgi apparatus, the endoplasmic reticulum, a nucleus, all kinds of things, vacuoles, etc. Bacteria have none of those. If you're a eukaryote and you have a cell wall, like plant cells or fungi, then your cell wall is totally different from the cell wall of bacteria. They have a totally different makeup. And we are animals, and animal cells don't have cell walls at all. We have cell membranes, but we do not have cell walls. And because we don't have cell walls, that's what makes us so elastic and stretchy. So anyway, you're going to learn about classification and the different organisms and their cell structures. So what do you need to read in the textbook? Chapters 20, section 1, and then chapter 4 in your free OpenStax textbook. Please use this as a resource. Don't just Google things, because there's no telling what you're going to come up with. Boy, I used to tell my micro students that all the time, because there is so much misinformation out there about microbes. It is just unbelievable. So anyway, use our OpenStax textbook. All right, then what else do you have? Read the Module 3 overview to find out the general topics that we're covering this week. Watch the videos. The Invisible Universe is really cool because it shows you all the different places that you can find microbes in and on us. And think about it this way. Our bodies contain all different types of microbes that live with us. And they're all these different separate ecosystems all around the body. So the bacteria that you find in your ear canal are not the ones that you're going to find in your large intestine, are not the ones that you're going to find in your mouth or under your arm or in your belly button. Did you know that there are scientists that study the microbes that are in your belly button? Yeah, there are. So anyway, that's the Invisible Universe, and also a video on classification. The 3 largest groups of classification of all life forms are the domains, and then under that we have the kingdoms. So watch that video so you understand that. Now I am going to put an extra video, which is one of the most awesome things I've ever seen in my life, in this announcement. It is the Harvard Antibiotic Resistance in Bacteria Study, and it happens over 11 days. And you are going to see how fast bacteria become resistant to antibiotics when they are exposed to them. Everything from the one-time concentration of the antibiotic, which would be the normal one that you or I would take, all the way up to 1,000 times the concentration needed for treatment in something like a human being. This is an amazing video. It just takes, I don't know, a minute, 2 minutes to watch, and it is amazing. It shows you how fast antibiotic resistance happens. It can happen to the bacteria in your body. Oh, one thing to mention. You do not become antibiotic resistant because you don't take the antibiotic to kill you. The bacteria in you become antibiotic resistant. So this can happen in you. It can happen in our food animals. It can just happen out there in the environment. It can happen in a hospital setting. The microbes that are there become very resistant to all types of antibiotics. So this is an important topic which you will cover this week. In fact, in your discussion board postings, wow, this is a really good segue. In your discussion board postings, you are going to talk about why antibiotics, which are chemicals that kill, target bacterial cells and not ours. So the important thing here is that the antibiotics have to target the bacterial cells specifically and not kill us. So there have to be some targets in those bacterial cells that we don't have or are different in us. So this is why you need to really focus on the cell structures of bacteria versus animal cells like ours. Also, you're going to discuss how our use of antibiotics increases the rate of antibiotic resistance. If we take antibiotics incorrectly, we start feeling better, and so we say, okay, I don't need to take this antibiotic anymore. I'll save it until the next time I get sick. Or we skip doses. Or we use antibiotics to do things that we shouldn't use them for. These days, there is a lot of prophylactic use of antibiotics, and that's using antibiotics to prevent bacterial infections. And you'd think, well, this would be good, except that you are exposing microbes in and on your body to antibiotics that shouldn't be exposed. So you have to do this very carefully. This is called antibiotic stewardship, to use them correctly. In your response post, you're going to talk to your classmates about whether antibiotic use should happen in livestock. All right, this is a phenomenon that's been happening since the 1950s, especially, well, it started off in poultry and chickens, turkeys, those sorts of birds. And so we give antibiotics to food animals when they are not sick. And why do we do that? They are not sick, and we give them antibiotics. This prevents them from getting sick, yes. And many of them are raised in very close quarters, and so diseases spread through them like crazy. But also, the main reason that they do this is to increase muscle mass quickly, increase the size of the eggs, increase egg production. That's why they use antibiotics in livestock, because the animals grow bigger, stronger, more muscle mass, bigger eggs more often. And that's because normally these animals are fighting off what are called silent infections, and the antibiotics are killing off those bacteria that are causing those silent infections, and the energy then can be used to build more muscle mass or make bigger eggs. So you need to discuss that in your 2 response posts this week. Remember, your initial post is always due by Thursday. Your 2 response posts are always due by Sunday night. All right, and then you're going to begin your final project. I've only had one person tell me what project topic they wanted, and that's fine if everybody's picking from the list, which I'm going to show you in a second again. I did last week too. If you're coming up with a different topic that you want to cover that's not on the list, you must email me and get permission before you start this project. Make sure you follow the Milestone 1 guidelines and rubric, because that's how I will be grading, and use the correct format. This will change as we go through the weeks. For this first assignment, Milestone 1, you're going to make an outline with section headings that have enough detail. So it's not going to be 3 words. Roman numeral 1, introduction, 3 words. No. I'll show you this in just a second when I pull up the guidelines. But use the correct format. So here it is. Let me move my face out of the way so we can get to it. Okay, so here's the first page of Milestone 1 guidelines and rubric. There are the topics that you have to choose from. If you watched my video from last week, I went through all of these, so I'm not going through them today. Population ecology, air pollution, water pollution, light pollution, I gave you that one. The energy crisis and alternative sources of energy, eutrophication, etc. Okay, they're all there. If you choose a different topic from one in this outline, in this list, you must contact me and I have to approve it. Okay? Now, go down toward the bottom. Let's see what you need to talk about this week. And, you already should have started researching your topic. Make sure you use good sources like the Shapiro Library, Google Scholar, PubMed is a good one to get your information. Wikipedia, no, not good. It is editable by anyone on this planet at any time. So yeah, that's a good starting place if you want to find some information. But then look at their sources and go from there. But use the library too. The online library is excellent. All right, so what do you have to do this week? You have to come up with an introduction to your topic. So now look right under that. It says describe the topic you selected. It does not say write 3 words. If you choose, let me find one, genetic modification, like you're interested in genetic engineering, the first thing that you have to do is tell your audience what the heck it is. Most members of the public don't even know what a gene is, much less how you edit one or why you would edit one. So describe the topic that you selected. Now, granted, this is in outline format, and you should use the headings. Roman numeral 1, introduction. All right, this needs to be a paragraph. Describe your topic. Why is it significant? Why is it significant to you? Why is it significant to biology? And give us some real world examples. So if you're looking at genetic engineering, The newest system of enzymes to change genes around is called CRISPR. And so you would want to talk about that, what CRISPR is and how it works and how it has been used so far. And then under the next section, that's the topic section, where? Where does this happen? If you choose global warming, climate change, guess what? Where does this happen? Throughout the whole biosphere. So you have to figure out what biosphere means. Where does it happen? In the whole world, everywhere that you find anything that's living, that's the biosphere. On the other hand, if you were to choose, let's see, pollution of a lake near your house, okay? A lake that you like to do recreation in, and you like to fish in, you like to kayak in, etc., and it's becoming polluted. So what is your location? It is going to be that lake. What is that kind of ecosystem called? Okay, so where does this happen? How does it happen? So what is happening to cause this thing to happen? Global warming, you can get into that. Everybody's heard of that already. But in the case of the lake that's becoming polluted in your area, why is it becoming polluted? How is it becoming polluted? What's being dumped into it? Who's doing the dumping, etc. And then finally, the third part under topic is who. Who benefits from this topic? If you're talking about the eutrophication, say you're interested in the red tides in Florida, who benefits from this particular issue? Well, people who dump pollutants into the water, like excessive nutrients, the farming industry, subdivisions that use fertilizers, etc., they benefit from red tides because they're not regulated. They can dump whatever they want to in the water system, and they don't have to worry about it. On the other hand, you also have the algae that are causing the red tide, and they of course benefit from this because they're growing out of control. So which species benefit from this? Because someone, and usually humans are in this group, somebody's benefiting from this particular topic, any of those that you look at over there. Okay, so those are your sections that you need to cover in this milestone 1. They need to be written out. Okay, tip of the week, put your assignments in the correct format. I will tell you, I'll get to the end of this term and I'll have at least 2 out of 24 students who do not make slides for their presentation, who just have a written essay. And whoo, that is a big 260-point assignment out of your 1,000 points to miss so many points on just because your format was not correct. Use the correct format. It's always in the guidelines and rubric for this class, for your other classes at SNHU. It tells you in the guidelines, create an outline. I've been talking about that, okay, with the section headings so I know what you're talking about. Just don't write it just in conversational tone. That's not how it's supposed to be presented. Submit it as a Word document, double spacing. I can't stand single spacing because it's hard to read. And, you know, I'm reading this on a computer, and so I need it to be double spaced. I don't care about the font. I don't care about the margins. I don't care the exact number of pages. Include your references. You should have references because you should have started researching this. And put those references in APA format. And that would be a separate page, okay, the reference section. Make sure you cite your references in the body of work, okay? Don't forget that too. If you get a wonderful statistic, you know, that statistic did not come out of your head. It came from a source, so make sure you cite that source. And as always, if you need anything, there's my name, Dr. Janie Sigmon, m.sigmon@snhu.edu. Please email me. I will be glad to answer any questions that you have and help you in any way that I possibly can. With that being said, I hope that you have a wonderful week number 3.